Black Hawk gets new job, launching swarms of armed drones. The U.S. Army has proved its most common helicopter can double as a flying missile truck, launching and steering multiple armed drones from a Black Hawk cockpit during blistering July heat testing in California's Mojave Desert, according to a report published by Major Sam M. U., an assistant product manager for H-60 development and modernization, and chief warrant officer for Sean Spears, an air-launched effects support officer. The demonstration took place during Project Convergence Capstone 6, a major Army experimentation event held at Fort Irwin, California, this July and built directly on a similar test the same team ran at AP Hill, Virginia, the previous month, giving the program back-to-back proof points in a matter of weeks. What the Army calls the Air-Launched Effects Capability, or ALE, refers to a family of small drones a helicopter can fire off mid-flight, some built purely to scout and identify threats, others carrying jamming equipment, and others armed to strike targets directly, all controlled from inside the aircraft rather than requiring a separate ground-based operator. The version tested this month, known as Increment 1, is a fully government-owned and government-designed system developed jointly by the Army's Utility Helicopters Project Office, which manages the Black Hawk fleet, and the Combat Capabilities Development Command's Aviation and Missile Center, the Army's in-house research arm for aviation weapons and technology. Over 3 days of flight testing, Aircrews launched and controlled multiple drones simultaneously in a fully networked configuration, meaning the aircraft and its drones shared targeting and tracking data in real time rather than each operating in isolation, all while enduring the kind of extreme desert heat that can degrade sensors and electronics on lesser-tested systems. Dr. Stephanie Reitmeyer, Director of the Aviation and Missile Center's Maneuver Air Directorate and Maneuver Air System Center, credited the pace of the program to the government and industry teams working side by side rather than handing work back and forth through slower, traditional channels. It's truly remarkable when dedicated Americans from government and industry collaborate to deliver results. Moving with speed and embracing experimentation as a unified team is driving transformational change across Army capabilities, Reitmeyer said. The Fort Irwin testing did more than validate the Black Hawk's ability to carry and fire these drones. It also fast-tracked the long-range precision munition, the armed variant within the Army's broader Launched Effects program, and the component responsible for actually striking a target once reconnaissance drones have found one. The same Capstone 6 event produced a separate but closely related milestone on July 24th, when Army Aviation demonstrated a full networked strike sequence in which 2 reconnaissance drones located and identified a threat before a third, armed drone flew in to finish the job, with the Army validating its first production line long-range precision munitions during that sequence and setting a fiscal year 2027 target for fielding the weapon at scale. That earlier demonstration also showcased what the Army calls a wolfpack tactic, in which multiple launched effects coordinate together to overwhelm an adversary's air defenses from multiple directions at once, a concept the Black Hawk testing appears designed to feed directly into by giving crewed helicopters a reliable way to launch that same family of drones from the cockpit rather than relying solely on other platforms. Making that kind of interchangeable drone launching possible depends on standardized hardware the Army has been quietly building out alongside the drones themselves. The Launched Effects Dispenser for Ground and Rotorcraft, known as LEDGR, along with a companion Universal Vehicle Control System, function as common launch tubes and cockpit controls that let aircrews plug in whichever launched effects variant a mission requires instead of needing separate custom hardware for every drone type the Army fields. And the service has said both systems remain on track to support fielding at scale by fiscal year 2027 as well, the same timeline set for the long range. Precision munition itself. The Capstone 6 event gave soldiers and allied partners a chance to see the modified Black Hawk configuration up close and question the engineers and program officials directly responsible for building it, a level of hands-on access the Army has increasingly prioritized as it tries to move new aviation technology from prototype to fielded capability faster than in past decades. Beyond its role as a drone launcher, the modified H-60M also carries advanced networking equipment that lets it function as a communications relay between air and ground forces operating beyond each other's direct line of sight, giving commanders a more reliable way to manage the battlespace when units are spread across contested terrain far from fixed communications infrastructure. Brig General Kevin Cheney, Deputy Portfolio Acquisition Executive for Maneuver Air, framed the successful Black Hawk launch as a turning point rather than a routine test result. Successfully launching air-launched effects from a Black Hawk is more than a milestone. It is a leap forward, said Brig General Kevin Cheney, Deputy Portfolio Acquisition Executive for Maneuver Air. By extending their reach and increasing lethality, we are changing the battlefield geometry and delivering a decisive advantage to our soldiers. The Army says it will continue maturing the Black Hawk's air-launched effects capability through further testing and evaluation, work aimed squarely at improving the platform's lethality and survivability for large-scale combat operations against a well-defended adversary. What remains unclear from the available reporting is exactly how many Black Hawks the Army intends to modify with this capability, what the full production timeline looks like beyond the fiscal year 2027 targets already set for the munition and its launch hardware, and how this capability will ultimately be distributed across combat aviation brigades once fielding begins.